All right, guys, I'm going to speak about typography, in particular for the magazine project. You set up your file, great, you have an image in, and I'm going to just talk about the text tool. So the text tool right here, there's different versions of it. I'm just going to talk about the first one. Do me a favor. Do not click and drag. All right, this is good for essays and typing out paragraphs. Okay. What I recommend you do, and let me just lock my layer, add a new one, is click once and let go. I'm going to call my magazine Fresh. Now, by default, it picks up the default character, which is the Myriad Pro. It's regular. I recommend you look for different fonts on the internet and try to download them. This one looks kind of funky. Okay. Now, another way to do this, if you click on character, you can see the style of font. Okay. And if you want to, here, I'll just bring this it's a little bigger. I'm holding shift while dragging this. Okay. If I highlight the text and I go to character, or even if I drop down the font library, it shows me what that word looks like. So I'm using my cursor key to go up and down the library of fonts. Okay. Or if you clicked here and pick here, if you change it, you'll see it change as well. Okay, so pick your fonts, play with the character. The font size is in points. Okay. Now, for your graphic title, I recommend you pick a font and you play with the tracking and kerning. All right, so what's tracking? With my text still selected, I'm going to go on to character, and you can see the tracking, the leading, the kerning, and other items, baseline, shift, and scale. Typically, these three things are the main focuses on your magazine project. Okay? So let's talk about the tracking. Okay? I can numerically just type it in or drop down a set size. Okay? But most people on Illustrator and InDesign and Photoshop, they hold with their left hand the Alt-Option key on their Mac, and then they cursor right or left, and that plays out with the spacing of tracking the word. Okay? Kerning is when you have your cursor in between two character type, and I hold Alt and Option. Do you guys see how I'm only individually spacing out the space between R and E? That's called kerning. Now, leading, I can't really show you it. Well, I guess I could. So you'll notice that the kerning, the tracking, and the kerning have been set, and there's the numbers that indicate it. Okay. So there's numeric kerning and tracking, and there's just visual, where you just kind of highlight it and do it yourself. Okay. I'm going to go back to a normal set of tracking and kerning, and it's back to the default state that the font was set with. Okay. Now, leading, I'll just do this quick. I type enter, and I type in magazine. Okay. Leading, if you highlight it, is a space between two lines of text. So with my left hand, holding the Alt-Option button on my Mac, going instead of left to right, up and down, I can decrease or increase the space between those two lines of type. That's called leading. Okay? An example of tracking and kerning, I'm going to use a Montserrat. I'm going to make this font very small. I'm going to let it up over there. And then I'm going to track this. So right now I'm doing it visually, guys. I'm holding Alt in my left hand, and you know my cursor key? I'm cursing to the right, and I'm spacing out the word. That's tracking kerning. Okay? Holding shift, scaling it down. Okay? If I wanted a certain color from my magazine, say I want to bring the blue from the shirt, guys, select your object, get the eyedropper tool. It's the same one as Photoshop as well. And you can target a blue from there, and it'll apply it to that shape. People like using that for magazines because they want the continuity of color scheme throughout their, to pick a lipstick, a pattern on the fabric they're designing on. Okay. So here's your little lesson, guys, on tracking and kerning, guys. It's pretty much the Alt Option key. It's either left or right. Okay. Once you're happy with it, guys, I'll just do a duplicate of this. I'm holding Alt and dragging. I'm gonna right-click and create outlines. Is my graphic now font or graphic? It's graphic. I can go in and track and kern. Okay. You could technically go ungroup, and you can do anything you want with it. These are all individuals. So if I want to make this yellow, yellow on the inside. Make sure that the fill color is the first thing. Okay. You can play with that. That doesn't look too fresh, but whatever. Well, maybe orange. Nah, it's looking fresh. No, it's garbage. Okay. Anyways, there's your little lesson, guys, on tracking and kerning. That should help you with your graphic title. Any other questions, guys? Okay.